Okay, hello and welcome back. Brett here with ClickMill. And in this video, we're going to talk about cultural relativism. So in the series of discussions we're having, we first are talking to someone about individual moral relativism, where they're saying, well, you can do whatever you believe is true for you, and that's good and moral for you. Okay, cool. Well, when we push them and we reduce that argument to the absurd, and we say, so you're saying it's fine for Hitler to commit genocide because it's true for him? Is that really what you're saying? And they're like, well, hold on here. That's not really what I'm saying. That's not okay. Okay, so people don't get to choose their morality. So what is it? And then they'll move and they'll shift position. This is one they can go to. And so it's called cultural relativism. Well, it's not really that the person chooses. It's more about what the culture believes in that, day and time. And so it's not the person that chooses, it's really just the culture, and we're all products of the culture that we're raised in. And so in that way, we show what's morally acceptable within the culture. And then you again, same strategy. So what you're telling me is that the culture in the United States in the mid to late, what is it, the mid to late, let's call it the 1800s, the culture was that it was morally fine to own slaves and exploit their labor without pay. You're telling me that culturally that is morally acceptable. Now what they have to do, and again, you can go back to Germany in the 1940s, you can go to any atrocity in history as long as it's related to culture, and you can say, so this is fine. And we're again reducing this to the absurd. So they now have to again be in this position where culturally, they're saying, yes, it's totally fine culturally to enslave an entire race of people and exploit their labor with no pay and terrible conditions and bring them over on slave ships and all this stuff. And if, again, they take that position, they're a crazy person, because anybody listening knows that's evil. I mean, you can't go through the United States for like 10 minutes without hearing about how evil that is. So to put them in a position to then justify their morality against something that everyone knows is evil is absurd. And so what are they going to, well, okay, well, no, that's not okay. All right, so tell me why people get to choose their own, or excuse me, cultures choose their own morality. Now, another way you can take this outside of putting them in this sort of dilemma of a culture at a time is to put two cultures up against each other. So you're telling me one culture believes that slavery is not okay, and another culture believes slavery is okay. Who's right? How do you choose? Well, they're both right. Well, what do you mean they're both right? How do you have two correct? What if my culture believes that slavery, like we're talking about in the 1800s, is totally acceptable, and I come in my country, my culture happens to be stronger than you, and I enslave you? That's totally morally acceptable from your perspective, correct? And now they're faced with this decision where now they're the slave, and that is not morally acceptable. And so again, they're in this position where I'm going to be a crazy person and say, yep, I guess I'm enslaved, and that's morally fine for you. Or they're going to say, no, that's not morally acceptable. That's actually pretty evil, and I don't care to be a slave. Oh, well, where do you get that? Because your own beliefs don't justify that conclusion. You've said morals come from the individual in the last video, and now you're saying they come from the culture. But what you just told me is it doesn't matter what Hitler believes, and it doesn't matter what Hitler's culture believes. It's not okay to enslave people or kill the Jews. Okay, so why is it not okay? So we're asking them to give a ground for the belief that we all know we have, that there's absolute morality. And so probably what's going to happen is they're going to shift again. So the next argument we've kind of almost covered, but it is slightly nuanced. So we're going to go into historical moral relativism in the next video. Zach, do you have anything you want to throw in on that? Doing good. Okay. We will see you in the next video. God bless.